You might say that Mike Pignata was built for football. So, sort of a block of a man, isn't he? And a 3-year starter at nose guard at Leominster High School, and a great contributor to the program. But Mike was also valuable in his junior high school team as well. And I know Mike will appreciate this because he's noted for his sense of humor. But Mike was playing for Carter Junior High School and apparently took some kind of a hard hit and was knocked off course for a little bit, let's say. And there was a young man who hadn't seen a single play of action the entire season. And that young man was Peter Bovenzi. I think he was about 4 foot 1 inches tall, weighed about 110 pounds. And he was the guy that got the leather helmet. They did put a face mask on it for him. And when Mike went down, Coach LaBelle called his name, Peter Bovenzi. And he rose up off the bench and with pride and said, "I'm going in the game." And he reported dutifully to Coach LaBelle and figured he was going to see his first action. Well, Coach LaBelle grabbed the mouthpiece off of his helmet and handed it to Mike Pignata because he had bit through his. And then dismissed Peter Bovenzi, who muttered to himself, "Just good for spare parts." Remember that story, Mike? In all seriousness, Mike was a great player who contributed to the '73 Super Bowl team, which will be inducted a little later on this evening. The undefeated and Super Bowl team, 1974 team, and then his senior season was 1975. The '74 team was ranked number 1 in New England and number 11 nationally. Mike was the member of the Worcester Telegram and Gazette Super Team, and I think he got his zest for football, at least in part, from his father and brother, who also were Leominster High School football players. And I can picture right now his dad with his umpire uniform on and a cigar sticking out of his mouth. And I think Mike got a zest for cigars from Dieco as well. A wonderful family and all great contributors to the Leominster High School football program, and a wonderful guy. And it's my pleasure to announce the induction of Michael Pignata to the Leominster Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank all in attendance tonight for coming tonight and sharing this special night with me. I'd like to thank the members of the Hall of Fame committee for being able to select me and to actually be making the right decision in selecting me. In seriousness, I'm going to take you down a different avenue that we've been seeing here lately. I am also honored and humbled to be elected to this award. I am honored to be one of the few out of all the many that have played this game for Leominster High School. I am humbled because my peers and my teammates felt that I was good enough to receive this award. And that touches my heart a real lot, and that's very hard to do, believe me. I'd like to thank my teammates. Now, when I say teammates, I'm not just talking about the two starting teams, defense and offense. There were players that sometimes didn't even get in the game, but yet they were there through the cold, the snow, the rain, the hot days of double sessions before the season started, and not even knowing if they were going to play. You know, those gentlemen right there, that is a dedication that is very unseen these days. They had no idea if they were going to play or not, but yet they were there, and they were there every day. My hat's off to those. Those are the best people. Now, as forementioned by Mr. Bonanza, I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank my father for inheriting his talent, not his hairline, and I also maybe not the cigars, like Mark said. But still, he was always there for me. He took me to everything. It wasn't just football. It was baseball, basketball, track. He would always take me there. He would always be there for me. And he was quite a character, as some of you really know. Now, my mother. The mothers are usually, you don't hear that much about the mothers when it comes to awards like this. You do hear the thank yous and stuff. Well, I'll give you a little background on my mother. She used to work at a factory called Independent Lock in Fitchburg. She'd work 8, maybe 10 hours a day sometimes. Come home, cook supper for 3 beast-of-a-sized boys, relax for a little while, and then I'd get up about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, wonder what all the noise was. Well, she'd be doing the laundry. She'd be doing my practice uniform, my father's uniforms for work, my brother's. And then later on at night, I'd get up again, and she'd still be up at 11:30, 12 o'clock, hand rubbing the dirt marks out of my uniform. Football is a dirty sport, as you know. Grass stains, mud stains. By hand sometimes. I do appreciate that now. I never had a chance to tell her how much I appreciated it. And that it's my fault for just being that type of arrogant person back then. But it's a loving memory, and I cherish it all my life, seeing her do that by hand. Now, my brother. There's 11 years difference between me and my brother. Some would say that might be a problem. Well, my brother was I've yet to hear a bad thing said about my brother. That'd be Dieco Jr. Great man, great man. A lot of you people here know him. Some of you played football with him. And when that term, take you under the wing, was invented, I think they were talking about him. Because, like I said, 11 years difference, you'd think there'd be a problem. Not one bit, not with my brother Dieco or his friends. They were there for me all the time. They even come up with the notion sometimes that I was a wise guy and they used to rough me up. Well, I cannot confirm or deny that. But what they did do, though, is they did toughen me up. Just a couple of names off the top of the list that were his friends. A Norma Ferrara. I'm sure some people have heard of him. Reggie Gonthia, a Rick Warner, and a Nelson Valeri. Just off the top of my head. They used to rough me up a little bit, but let me tell you what, it made me tougher in the end. But they always had my back. Now, I can remember when I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. The high school used to be Carter Junior High. My father would take me to go watch my brother practice. I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. We'd go watch. It started getting dark because we've changed the clocks. All of a sudden, the legendary Coach Broderick would call some players over. They would run off the field, and next thing I know, they'd be driving their cars onto the back of Carter Junior High. And I'd say, what's this all about? They put the lights on. They weren't done practicing yet. They were going to practice by the lights of that. This is the way football was back then. But that wasn't enough, though. Coach Broderick came out with a white football so they could see better as they could play as they practiced till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I want to really do when I get older? But it was what I wanted to do. It is what I wanted to do. The practices they used to go through, the games were like leisure time. They would have full contact practice. They'd be whacking into each other. And this is a day when the linemen just had regular face masks. They didn't have the cages face masks like they have these days. So there's a lot of broken noses. This is practice now. Broken noses, sore arms, dislocated fingers. Football was different then, my friends. Football was way different. Now it brings me up to the times that I played. The 1973 and 1974 team, which we are honoring tonight, was probably the toughest team out of the 3 years that I played for. And when I say the toughest, I mean toughness, just by schedule alone, the very schedule alone. teams like New Bedford, Revere, Nashua, New Hampshire, Gardner, which was a full house. That was a tough schedule. A few of those people that come into mind are Mr. Brian Normandin, one of the toughest linemen that I ever played with. Jimmy Pemerini was my center when I was a sophomore in high school and when I was a freshman also at Carter. And then there was there's a guy that played fullback, bigger than everybody else. His name was George Wallace. And he was a handful, my friend. Mark Bedanza was also a member of that team. So that shows you the toughness alone right there. When it came down to the Thanksgiving Day game that year, it was between Fitchburg and Leominster, who was going to go to the second Super Bowl. Well, Fitchburg had a pretty good team. But you know what? We had a better team. Because we ended up beating them, going to that Super Bowl, and the rest is history. The 74-75 team. Wow, what a team that was. That was the undefeated team. Number 1 in New England, number 11 in the nation. Let me give you a couple of the players that played on that team. In my opinion, the best halfback to ever play in a Leominster football uniform, or to be called the Blue Devil, was Rick LeQuire, who's present here tonight. I honestly believe one of the best. No, I take it back, the best. You had Charles Kerouac, 6'4", 260 pounds. Nonchalant as you could possibly be, but don't get him mad. Don't get him mad, because that big boy could take you down in a second. Another one was Bill Bezol. He was another one that was a very quiet person, but yet you didn't want to fool with him. We had 2 good quarterbacks. Not many teams had that. We had Paul McCumber and we had Paul Robichaud. Very rarely does the 2-quarterback system work, whether you be in the pros, college, or whatever. But for us, it worked because they were 2 outstanding players. And then there was a lineman named John Fennell, who was also an inductee into the Hall of Fame. Tough as nails. Funny guy, tough as nails. Tough as nails. Long hair, which I was kind of jealous of, to tell you the truth. But still, the fact is he had long hair. Well, I guess I did at that time, too. It's just that I decided to get rid of mine earlier. But every player that was a backup that year, like Coach Belichick would say for the Patriots, next man up. They would come up, and they would be just as good as the first player. And that happened like that. Rodney LeClaire, people like that got injured. Guys like that would step right in. You wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know the difference. Best team I ever played with, that 74-75 team. Now, in 75 and 76, it was a young team. When I say young, there was only a few seniors on that team. A couple of the names from that are Joe DeCalis and Stevie DeCalis. Great athletes in their own right. But that's a tough act to follow when you're coming off an undefeated team that you had played with the year before. We still went 8-2, only lost 2 games. First time we didn't go to a Super Bowl. But, hey, 8-2 ain't bad. Oh, and by the way, that team that's going here tonight was also 9-2, because we won a Super Bowl, we only lost 2 games. Now, the way I played this game was I played it with heart. Okay, when I say that, I mean, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't go 6-7 times a week to the gym. I didn't work out during the summer. But one thing my brother and his friends always told me is, you always think you're the best. Remember that. And they used to tell me that before all the games, especially before the Brockton game. The year we beat Brockton for the first time, we played them at Leominster. Always believe you're the best. And that was true. Now, this little bit here is toward the coaches and future coaches. You know, sometimes natural talent is better than, I'll say, working out 6-7 times a week, working out in the off season. And a natural talent, I mean, it's something that it's just, you either have it or you don't. But that don't make you any less better of a ball player. I remember the guys that would do that, they'd be screaming, yelling, all that rah-rah crap because they were all flexed up from the gym. Those were the opponents I loved playing against because they were so hyped up that I would out-muscle them, outspeed them, and actually, maybe one time, out-thought them. But that didn't happen very often. But I just want the coaches and other people to remember that. Now, you build special bonds in this football, and you've heard that from almost everybody that's talked tonight. But you also have special, special friends. My special friends, there's 4 that I can really accountably tell you that are really special. One is Rick Degnault, the other is Mark Fogg. I spent 6 years with them playing football, baseball, and basketball from junior high on into high school. Great athletes in their own, great people. Then when I got into high school, I met Fran Thomas's family, and Charles Kerouac and Charles Kerouac's family. Poor Charles was taken long before his time, and it hurts to this day, it hurts. But his family always took me in. When I say take me in, I don't mean fed me, gave me a place to stay another day. They always made me feel welcome when I was there. The Thomas family, Fran Thomas's father, great guy, funny guy, great guy. Worked with my uncle for years at Borden Chemical. These people, you do not forget. That's how they get the term special. Now, as life goes on, sometimes things don't go right. 2 years ago, I had a medical issue, kind of serious. It was a tumor. I had a tumor in my bronchial tube. Down on myself, feeling sorry for myself, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, 3 new friends moved into this realm of friendship of mine. These people, they didn't know about Leominster High football. All of them were from out of town. But as a support system, they were there. They listened to me whine. They listened to me be the prophet of doom, and they listened to me to be the prophet of hope, too. And those people had the courtesy of attending tonight's function for no reason at all, because they know nothing about Leominster High football. And that would be Cindy and Jim Colosi of Bolton. And another good friend that made the trip that didn't have to was a Mr. Scott Carney. Okay, they are special friends also. Remember, everybody, you have to have a special friend, and you keep them special friends. Now, in closing, I'd like to say a special thanks to another person we lost way too early. This man was a head coach, an educator. If you got in trouble in the late 70s, he was your truant officer. But most of all, he was a friend and a good human. When I was in the 9th grade, I broke my leg, halftime of a football game against Memorial Junior High. That entire school year, this individual would pick me up at my house in his own car on the way to school, crutches and all, every single day, and bring me home every day. You don't get that much these days. I don't even know if teachers are allowed to do that these days. But forever, this man would be known to me as Mr., not coach, not educator, but he will be remembered as a friend. His name is Richard Dick LaBelle. He had some unusual names, but let me tell you one thing. You never called them unusual names, and I will not repeat any of them here. But a man like that, I will respect till the day I die, because he was what you call a real friend. And if you played any sports in Carter Junior High, you knew who Dick LaBelle was. So once again, I'd like to thank you all, and I'd like to say God bless to all of you, and may everything go your way. Now, to quote one of the best editorial writers in the history of the Leominster Champion, this has been one man's view. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. Thank you, buddy.
Let's stand over there.
Over here, take a picture.